Hello again, everyone. Lovely to see you, lovely to be seen. I'm back with my colleagues when we're talking about honesty this week. Spoke a little bit about acceptance last week, and frankly, I thought it was a great conversation. Go to my YouTube channel and listen to it if you haven't picked it up, because I think it was terrific. And hello, John. Hello, Jenny. Hello, Linda. We are on again. I can't wait. We're just... it's just fun. Okay, we're talking about honesty this week. I am your host, Ambassador Terry, and we've got the fabulous Jenny Landgren, John Chapelier, and my partner in crime, Linda Vetras-Nichols, talking about honesty. This is another interesting subject. You know, this series that we've put together, ladies and gentlemen, is really very well thought through, and I hope that you're picking up the weekly episodes, and who knows, maybe we'll do a book. Crunch for my book coach there. And honesty, what does that mean to you? Yes, we have the cliche words, always tell the truth, always be honest, but that's not always the case. And what do I mean by that? Sometimes, somewhere around 4 to 6 years old, we don't tell the truth quite as easily. And if that's not checked properly and reinforced, a person can lie a lot the rest of their life and have real honesty issues until that point in time where they become present with that issue and begin to move forward and start over in their life. You know, as I say a lot, presence is the point where manifestation becomes action. As soon as you're present with honesty and you keep it there, then it will manifest itself. It will come to light and it will be easier to do. I'd like to pass this off to the author of this concept today, Jenny Landgren. Bring it in, my dear. Let's hear your take.
Happy to. Thank you, Terry. So, to lead people, we get to recognize where they are. We get to meet them where they are and lead them the way that they need to be led. We get to know them. But how will we know one another if we're not speaking truth? If we're not being truthful with who we are? There are so many words that go together here. It's about being authentic. It's about being true. It's about being genuine and real. And that takes a lot of courage. I know it takes a lot of courage for me sometimes to open up and really let people know where I am, because that's not always a happy place. So I get to be vulnerable when I choose to. And the way I see it is that my vulnerability is a gift to the people around me. And I do not grant it to anyone. It's not up to grab. It's something that I choose to share with the people that I trust. And it allows us to connect on a deeper level. And it's a gift. It's the way that I see it with when my clients open up to me, that they are gifting me the presence of them, that I get to see them where they truly are. And trust is the currency of every connection. When we meet in that place, that's when magic happens. So much to continue on here. Thank you, Terry.
What a start. What a start. Talking from the author herself, Jenny Landgren, and honesty, leadership. You know, you want people to trust you, be trustworthy. You know, think about that, ladies and gentlemen. Be trustworthy. How many people have you been around or been present with in your lifetimes, could have been earlier, even today, where you're just not sure if you can trust what they're saying, or they have a reputation of misrepresenting something? It's very hard. I mean, American politics right now, politics as a whole, is an excellent example of people with issues stretching the truth and bending the truth and doing those kinds of things. And my colleague, John, who's swallowing down some water, can talk about some senior executive leadership along that line. John, hop in.
Thanks, Ambassador Terry. And Jenny, thanks for your opening there about honesty. Yeah, I grew up in Washington, D.C. and spent a lot of time in the Capitol, around the Capitol, with many, many friends over the years. And it really is not a place where honesty is valued as much as accomplishment. Accomplishment is more important than honesty. Whatever I have to do to get us from here to here is what's important. And if you try and do that in your, I mean, about the only place you can do that is a place where you can do unbelievable deficit spending. Anywhere on business, you would run it out of business. If you were doing it in your personal life, you'd end up divorced and friendless. It has to be something that you are, and it has to be something that people believe you are, because you were talking about if you are working with somebody and they don't have the best reputation, or they have you don't know that they're very trustworthy, you're going to have a very hard time ever getting that trust back, because trust is not something that is easily extended and easily shared, and certainly it is very easily lost. So it is something that you have to not only start with, but you have to be very committed to continuing it. When I was early on in business, and again, grew up in DC, it was sort of accomplish was the key ingredient. So whatever you needed me to say to make something move from here to here, that's what I would do. It just seemed like the normal way in business. And eventually that became something, and that's sort of where the manifestation of changing from the way I used to be until the way I am today. I came to the realization that this is just not really, there's a reason why I feel like I need to take a shower every night when I go home. It's like, I'm doing things that are not at the level of my soul, as Linda would say. I'm doing things that are violating my sense of what Covey would have said as true north principles. I'm violating those. I'm violating my core values. And when I do that, there's a sense of me that becomes ashamed of myself. And it's very hard to be trusting and loving of myself if I'm ashamed of myself. The other thing on a very practical level about trust and honesty is I have never had a problem remembering the truth. I have had a lot of trouble remembering what I told you last. Well, what did I tell you when we were going to start? What did I say about that? What was that budget we talked about? If I tell the truth, I can always remember it. What we said, how it works, how it went together, who's supposed to be a part, who's going to be supportive, where is it going to end up? And it never fails that every detail is easily remembered. But when you're trying to keep a whole bunch of juggled balls of BS in the air, it's really hard to keep it clear in your mind. And that's, again, the kind of things that ends up making you feel sort of violated of your own personal values. And nothing will let you be more subconsciously agitated and stress-filled than being ashamed of your own personal value violations. So
you came up with something very, very relevant in my mind right now, and that's speaking from the level of your soul. I'd like to bring in the soul lady right now and bring in a little more along those lines. Linda?
Thank you. Oof. Yeah, the honesty and integrity go together in my brain. My friend, when she was younger, she is a little more like kind of ADHD, and so she would just blurt things out. And one day her dad just said, Kathleen, tell the truth. Just don't always be telling it. I so thought of my brother. He was in the grocery store and he was about 3, and he goes, "Why does that lady have such a crabby face on?" So tell the truth, don't always be telling it. I believe the umbrella there is integrity and social skills and things like that. And then Terry talked about the 4-year-old, and developmentally, kids by about age 4 they're trying out lying. And if we're not careful as parents, if we glob onto it like, this is wrong, what is this going to look like when they're an adult? You know, there's going to be a criminal, and approach it that way, you'll probably have a liar on your hands by the time they reach adulthood. So realize it is a developmental skill and it will keep you alive. Like, just watch all the movies, right? You know, there's a lot of lying going on. The good guys they're not liars, but man, they're lying left and right, saving their butts. So it's a developmental skill that actually helps to keep a human being alive. And it's quite perfected by about age 18. So, and as you think back to the past of your past, you know, when you were a kid and growing up and all the lies that you told, I'm sure you were getting better and better at them and fooling your parents more and more. So that's kind of my take on it.
Okay, and quite a take it is. 4 concepts, 4 minds, 4 places in the world, not only geographically, but our journeys, our experiences, how they intertwine, and yet they are so far apart that the thing that keeps us together is that honesty, that bind psychologically, socially, and obviously our mental health has to do with a lot of that. You know, the people that I probably have 3,000 or more clients in my adult life that I've coached and mentored, and it's the most consistent thing that I see and have been reflecting on today, ladies and gentlemen, is that boss that you never know what they're going to say. You know what the right answer is, you know what the truth is, and it doesn't come out of their mouth when they speak of it. And that trust that is broken there, you know, trust takes about 2 seconds, a lifetime to build so that you're fully trustworthy. And the adage goes, it takes 1 sentence or 3 seconds to break that, and possibly permanently. And that's a lot about what we're talking about today. You know, there's the concept of being open, you know, and that reflection of always tell the truth. I can reflect on my daughter at 1.5 years old, who was explaining her mother maybe explained the physical anatomy a little bit too good, because my daughter and her were in the commissary, the shopping place on the Navy base that we were on. And my daughter starts pointing it out to every woman that comes by. She has a. My once wife, as I call her, just was a tomato by the time they got out of there. And, you know, that's okay, but it's not okay. And, you know, if somebody asks you a question, and we've talked this about acceptance and being open over and over and over again, but it's very basic to who we are as leaders and as human beings, you know, fathers, brothers, all of those fit in there. And that is tell the truth, but don't always be telling all of the truth. You know, it's okay to acknowledge that men and women are physically different. That's okay. But breaking it down into parts is not necessarily the smartest thing to do. And when we're talking about, you know, our businesses and what's going on, and people want to know about what we're doing next, they probably are asking for a general concept, and they'll ask more questions if they need to. And you, ladies and gentlemen, are listening to this broadcast or in the recording, you get to think about, okay, if you want more knowledge, ask more questions. Otherwise, ask a simple question so that you get your curiosity taken care of. And still, if you want more, ask for more. And for you guys that are out there that are telling the information about your company and stuff like that, we're not telling you to lie. We want you to be honest. but just don't go into detail about the workings of a company that's mostly confidential simply by answering a question of general inquiry. Now, John, you had your hand up there, and I'm going to pass it over to you and bring you in.
Thanks, Terry. There were just a couple of things that you hit on that connected to me as far as truth goes, and simplicity and clarity. I've done a lot of work over the years in recovery, both with individuals and families. And one of the components of recovery is making amends to other people. And the phrasing about making amends is a lot like the honesty we're talking about, because an amend would be, I've changed my behavior. It's not an apology. An amend is not an apology. Amend is just like the Constitution. We changed the original document to read this way. And if I've made an amend, I have changed my behavior to now act and live this way. Okay. But the second component of that is unless it would injure them or others. All right. And so this is kind of like when you tell your kids about jokes and comedy and all this other stuff, and you say, unless you're both laughing, it's not funny, you know? And so it's very important that we realize, because I mean, I was the king of, and I still am kind of scary bad when you throw me up a softball. I'll tend to want to knock it out of the ballpark. You have to remember that the things that come out of your mouth really do affect the way other people look at you and act for a long time, not just for, you did it for 5 minutes, they look at you for 5 minutes. No, I mean, you can do it for 5 minutes and they can change the way they think about you for the rest of your life. So the idea of being truthful to me is unless it would injure them or others. So there's no sense in me pointing out something that's a flaw, physical or mental, or your thinking process is flawed or anything else. Just that's what we talked about the other day about acceptance. It's just, that's you. This is me. I don't agree with you on very many levels at all, but I can accept you for the positions that you take and the way in which you express them. And then the other component I was thinking of while you were sharing was the simplicity of honesty rather than the complexity of honesty. And you were talking about, you don't need to get into all this detail about, right. And it's like the question from the child about, well, Daddy, where does the baby come from? And the guy is trying to figure out how to explain all this and, about mom likes daddy. And then we get, and then the mother just looks at him and goes, the baby comes from the hospital, honey. And the child is like, that's great. I am very excited. And it's the truth. The baby came from the hospital. Okay. It didn't come from a stork. It didn't, it came from the hospital. It's like, oh, what a good idea. So again, we can speak simply, we can speak honestly, and we can speak without doing damage to others. If I want to be dead honest about myself, that's fine, but I don't need to be honest about, that shirt you're wearing, I guarantee you will come back into style really soon. I mean, that may be honest, but it doesn't help their self-confidence and it doesn't help my reputation, and I'm the only person that can protect my reputation. And I have to be careful about what comes flying out of here and, put in, used to be a friend of mine says it was like a gumball machine. You have a little thought up here, drops to your tongue and rolls out of your mouth. And if you're not more careful about that, you can find yourself sitting by yourself wondering why nobody accepted your invitation to dinner or go to the bar or anything else. It's like, nah, we're going over here. Thanks a lot. So that's it. Just simplicity.
Oh, John, I think you were muted for the last part of that. Would you like to?
Oh, it's just like be honest. And don't damage other people. That's it. It's just like simple and not malicious.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Yes, there's a saying, and I think it came from a brilliant colleague of mine, that honesty without care is brutality. Right? It's so much about the intention behind our words. Something else that's coming up for me is the word transparency. And I believe often we confuse the two. We talk so much about being authentic. And it's easy to get in the state of, well, I'm just being me, I'm not going to change. This is who I am. I'm going to speak my truth. So we can look at those two and recognize the values that they bring and the choices that they lead us to. Authenticity is about being the original. That's the like the basis of the word, if you look at it linguistically. It's about being the original. It means that you are pulling from the same well. When you talk to a person in the store, standing in line to pay, you are the same person that you are in the boardroom. There's also choices and filters that we use, recognizing the level of transparency, how much information that we share. And it just makes sense that we're not sharing the kind of information in the store that we do in the boardroom. So something to continue with. Thank you, John.
I love that, Jenny. Yeah, and when the guys were talking about how much to share with kids, you know, it is just kind of that intuitive level of how much, you know, what's the child really asking for? Not even so much how much can they handle, it's where are they at, and knowing your child and how much information they're really looking for is super important. I know Stina Marie speaks to that quite a bit, so I appreciate that discussion as well.
So we're talking about honesty and openness and integrity. And, you know, ladies and gentlemen, it comes from the very first breath we take in this world. We don't come out of the womb liars. We don't come out of the womb a presidential candidate. We don't come out of the womb an executive. We come out of the womb full of love and wonder. And anything and everything that we touch, we feel, we hear, we don't understand, and we love it. And the more science has been analyzing and researching newborns and infancy and the entire process, the birthing process, you know, Linda and I's work with repetitive behavior. There's been times where a client always felt that they could hear their dad yelling at their mom. Well, where could that happen? Maybe it's in the womb. You know, the science, behavioral science, especially, Jenny could probably bring on this because she's behavioral science, but playing certain kinds of music will settle an unsettled child within the mother. And that's been proven. They've done it over and over and over again. And where I'm going with this is we all start out with a pre-established personality. And as we grow and age, we become witness to various stimuli that will affect the way we act and react in this world. But get this, as a child, for the most part, you had no say in what came to you, okay? As an adult, you make choices. Everything that comes out of your mouth, out of the end of your pen or your fingertips are your choice. They're not good choices, they're not bad choices. They are a choice. And we're talking about honesty today. And honesty is a building block of your reputation. And if you have a reputation of always being a liar, then you're probably not going to have a whole lot of friends. Or if you do have a lot of friends or any friends, they're probably liars too. That isn't what we want. That's not the way we roll out of bed in the morning and say, who can I lie to today? It's not it. We roll out of bed and we look around and we're still here. That's great. It doesn't matter if you're 21 years old or 69 going on 70. The thing is, everything we do, we have a conscious choice to produce. And I think that there isn't enough dialogue along this line. This is a really great subject for this week. And I'm just really enjoying this. How about you guys? Who wants to hop in and let's maybe we'll do some final thoughts. We're about 25 minutes into the hour now. John, you want to come in?
Yeah, I was just thinking, in the way in which these things can get improved, this is a great place where self-talk can sort of come in and help reinforce the behavior I want to exhibit. I am a loving parent. I am always supportive of the people in my life. I am, whatever it may be. Self-talk is a very simple sentence. It starts with me, it's in the present tense, and then it's whatever it is you want to be. And I am, not I will soon become. It's like, I will stop lying very soon. That's really not good as far as self-talk goes. I am honest. It is conditional upon my behavioral change. So if we want to be honest, we need to continue to repeat myself. That's my intention for today. Today, I will focus on honesty. So when I wrote the Daily Six, the idea was create one of those every day as an intention. Today, I will be loving and forgiving. Today, I will be service to other people. If we can set an intention for ourselves, then we find a way to remind ourselves through the day, am I sticking with my intention? And if we can do that, we can end up with behavior rather than simply intention.
Delightful. Jenny?
Yes. So I'd like to end with an image. So through the years, I have made many choices as to what level of information I share with the people around me. And I like to say that people enter through my choice to be vulnerable, and they enter on my permission. And my message today is that that's a choice that we get to make every day. And it is as if we are handing over the key to our door to those people. And just because I once handed over a key to a person in my life whom I trusted at that point, it doesn't mean that I'm not able to change the locks. It is a fresh choice that I make every day. And we get to make it wisely as to who we invite in and who we listen to. And I'm massively grateful for the people in my life who I am choosing to let in and who are in my closest circle. Thank you so much.
Linda, how about you?
Yeah, I really, there's just, when we talk about teaching kids body parts and stuff, that just really like, when we don't teach them the accurate body parts, that's just, then we're participating in rape culture. And Jenny was talking about how the kids are exposed to so many things. It's better to just let them, be exposed. You can't really stop it because that's just how our world is right now. And then having that open dialogue so that you know what they were exposed to and you can have a conversation. I don't know, Jenny, you want to jump in on that, but that was so, we had such a great conversation.
Yes, there's acceptance in there, because we want to keep our children safe. But like you say, Linda, this is the world. This is how it is, and honesty at their level and building on that trust. That's the greatest. That's the greatest value. And as a parent to twins who are turning 8 and their big sister being 9 years old, I can very much relate to the thoughts around that the audience might be having. Thank you.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, another fabulous connection with 4 superstar leaders. And the subject of honesty, self-acceptance, peace, the internalization of truth. Because you cannot give what you do not have. So be truthful with yourself. It will be much easier to be truthful with everyone else. And like we have said, just about, well, all 4 of us at one point or another during this recording today is, always tell the truth, but you don't have to tell all the truth. Because all of the truth can, as John said, that shirt's going to come back in style one of these days. It could be true, but it's very hurtful. So speaking the truth that hurts somebody is not necessarily a truthful, honest way of speaking to them. And that's it for this week, friends. Thank you very much to my team here. We're going to be back next week over the lunch hour on Wednesdays. Thank you for coming, and thank you for listening in.